Hey everyone, welcome back to another Archives of the Empire. It's been a little bit, guys. Where have you been, Kyber? No, I'm just kidding. Welcome back, guys.
Seriously.
We're super excited not only to be joined by Star Wars nerd Kyber Forge and Outer End Transmissions, but obviously Mr. Roger Christian, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, thank you. And
Good.
you all?
Doing well. So
Fantastic.
excited for ICCC. We were just talking before you joined that we were like, the last couple days at work have been a struggle to focus because it's just like we're so excited. So
Only a few days now.
only a few days.
Almost there.
I'm actually leaving tomorrow night, driving through the night. It's a 12-hour drive for me. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, got a buddy with me though, thankfully.
My wife's a teacher, so I have to actually wait until like 2:45 p.m. to leave. So I ain't getting there till late on Thursday.
Yeah. MacMan wants to know right off the bat, Roger, is Galaxy built on Hope streaming anywhere? If not, is it on Blu-ray or DVD? I'd love to check it out.
It's not streaming yet. I've got it. I've just taken it back over, and I've got Blu-rays and DVDs. I'll bring some to ICCC.
All right.
And if they contact me on Instagram, I can somehow arrange it to get you one.
All right.
There you go, guys.
So either if you want to sign one, I don't know if you're near the near Nashville, or if not, I can organize. I send stuff out like books, people want them, and I sign them and everything, and I do it through PayPal with postage added.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Yeah, Phil, contact me on Instagram. That's the easiest way.
There you go, MacMan. Good. Brick Creations wants to know, good evening. How's everyone doing? We're doing
Bricks.
well.
Doing pretty good.
We're pretty good. We're all over the place.
Yes. Have you been traveling a lot lately, Roger?
Yeah, I was in Germany, in Cologne. It was a huge Star Wars event. The
Wow.
weekend before last. I was only back this last week.
Wow.
That was pretty interesting.
Had you been to Germany before?
Yeah, because I made Nostradamus, this big film on the life of Nostradamus,
right.
and we edited that in Germany.
Okay.
East Berlin, actually. And then I was back there on another film, Prisoners of the Sun. So I was there for that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you like Germany over there?
It's still pretty cheap.
Okay.
So you can actually eat, but sensible prices. But yeah, no, it's always interesting, especially coming from here, from Toronto, because everything's like America. It's all too new. And we were just, the streets are filled with huge cathedrals and old buildings and all of that culture. That I do miss.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. We just had some friends come back from Japan at ICCC, and they were all talking about how cheap things are over there.
They were at
celebration.
Celebration. Sorry, celebration.
ICC on the brain.
Yeah.
ICC on the brain. Can you tell what I'm thinking about?
The thing, I drink matcha green tea lattes. I don't drink coffee, and Japan does the best. My goodness.
Yeah.
You just want to drink it all day long.
I
loved it. And of course, it's the heart of anime. And I visited some of the great studios, the animation studios there, and going down to some of the great anime stores and stuff. It's brilliant.
That's cool. Yeah, they have a lot of really cool art and stuff down there.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Everything. And the biggest thing there in Tokyo, there is no garbage anywhere.
Yeah.
And I constantly were asking Japanese, why don't you have garbage? What do, you guys? And they just kind of smile, and I don't know what they do with it. There isn't any anywhere. It's spotless, clean everywhere.
The other thing too that like Tony of Star Wars Sith said was that when you're down there, it's a massive city, but it's quiet. Like everyone minds their own business. It's not like people aren't yelling at each other. There's no screaming or anything like that.
They're
like,
also polite.
Yeah.
They are. It's wonderful. And then you slip into old kind of huge Buddhist temples and go and do a few prayers. And you see all the businessmen going to work in their suits with their briefcases, and they'll stop and do a quick prayer on the way, which I think is really cool.
That is cool. Darth Christensen says it's mind-blowing how naked 3PO's lines were created by Carrie Fisher.
True. Absolutely true. She wrote a lot of kind of things for George over the years, and some of the very best lines are hers. She's very great writer.
She seems like she would have been a really amazing and fun person to hang out with.
Yeah. She was very shy when she first arrived on the very first film, extremely shy, but she soon warmed up.
Darth Christensen says his favorite fact that he's learned from you, Roger, is that Obi-Wan's pommel was made from a tap.
That's true. And here's the story with that. David West Reynolds, who wrote the Star Wars Dictionary, I was with him. He did a little museum opening with all of his artifacts and built around, I think it was Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I'm there. Then he brings out his Obi-Wan Kenobi saber and says, I need to ask you a question because I've never found the solution. Was it H or C on the end? So I said, David, I would never, ever in a million years, add something imagining that Obi-Wan Kenobi would pop down to the local plumber's shop and get an end for his lightsaber. And so I said, I took it off and we had a look at the film there, and you go in close on it and there's just a gap at the end and it looks like some mechanism inside there. But since then, everybody kind of questions, was it H or was it C? Because he had H on his.
That's funny.
And it really created that, like, that's become such a common pommel design on lightsabers, is that kind of like tap type handle thing. Like even mine has like a pommel kind of like that. Like it's
exactly
like a handle.
Yeah. Yep. Darth Christensen says, since lightsabers have plasma blades, I think it was a hot tap.
True.
That's funny. Real Ben Maynard says, hello there, friends. Thank you for joining, sir. Says, big thank you to Roger for hanging out tonight.
Yep, you're welcome. It'll be fun looking at the movie again.
I can't believe, like, this is my life. Like, not only do I get to go to ICCC, but I get to sit here tonight on the verge of ICCC, hang out with Roger Christian, and listen to him tell us stories about A New Hope. This is just like, I told Star Wars Nerd, I'm just going to sit here with a big old grin on my face the entire time. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to be there with Theory Sabers, which is great with Nia. So
heck yeah,
that'll be really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him. And there's that gentleman that dresses like Darth Maul, the official Phantom Menace. He'll be there too, and I'm excited to see him.
Yeah,
he does a great job.
Yeah,
Macman says, Roger, thank you for honoring us with your presence.
Not at all. Thank you for honoring with your presence as well. You know, we're all here because of the fans.
Yeah. The Galactic Cantina says, from a prop maker's point of view, do you see props in your head from seeing random things in the rooms you're in?
I have been known to do that, yes. I got, we were forced. We had no money on the first film, nothing. And when I was in preparation, there was no budget for anything. So I was forced to start collecting things that I could transform into something else. So I kind of got an instinct of finding things that I thought looked right, because I always took great care in, Obi-Wan Kenobi's had to be like an old desert mystics, and Luke's had to be much more, because it was his father's, it had to have that kind of gravitas to it. And then Darth Vader's had to be a bit more suited to his presence. So I've always tried to match things to characters. And unfortunately, from Empire Strikes Back on, the set deck was not a science fiction, not even a lover of science fiction or anything. So things went a bit awry to my mind then, because I was then making movies, so I wasn't on it.
Yeah. Star Wars Closet says, this is so cool. Roger, you're a legend, and so are these guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
You. All of you, yeah.
Brick says, this is the best community. I appreciate each of you. We appreciate you too, Bricks. Thank you for being in here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, man, I'm excited to watch this movie. I'm not going to lie.
I've been thinking about it like for a few weeks.
Yeah, right. By the way, Roger, I know you guys
Yes.
haven't met before. This is Outer Rim Transmissions. He's kind of started joining us, our streams and stuff. So
Right.
Hey, Roger. Nice to meet you. It's an absolute honor. I've been kind of fangirling over this for the
Oh,
past few
thank you.
days. A little starstruck.
Very good. Where are you?
I am in Memphis, Tennessee. So I'm over in the central part of the U.S.
Right.
I unfortunately will not be making it to ICCC this year. I know it's not too far, but I couldn't make it this year. But I'm coming next year. I already told Nerd. he
there you go.
he
Yeah,
took
I
a screenshot.
screenshotted it.
Yeah, it's a contract now.
I love it. So, Outer Rim, you had some questions for Roger. Do you want to ask a few of those?
Absolutely. And I think kind of what you mentioned there, Roger, is a good place to piggyback off, right? You're kind of thinking of each character individually, right? But with the overall, used future aesthetic, right? Like the lived in aesthetic. How did you kind of then tailor each of these different characters to like with what they're wearing or the props to feel like they're all part of that lived in universe? Because Darth Vader is all shiny and black, and then, Han Solo's in a vest and Obi-Wan's an old hermit.
Yeah, that they're very aptly described. But I'm also, when I met George, I also loved Kurosawa movies. I loved the spaghetti westerns of Sergio Leone and King Arthur, all of those things. So I was already engraved deeply, and I read avidly Dune and Arthur C. Clarke, all of the great science fiction writers, and Lord of the Rings, of course. So I already had a kind of education in that type of world and characters and everything. And I think I applied all of that to what George had kind of said, that, simple instructions like Han Solo, he's a space cowboy. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is like an old Merlin. And we were very fortunate because the unsung hero, the genius of Star Wars, is Ralph McQuarrie. And we had 6 paintings George bought, photocopies of paintings, that in there is the whole vision of Star Wars, except for lightsabers. The only ones there were one painting of Darth Vader fighting in a corridor, and you couldn't really see anything. So I just applied my kind of history to it from, my understanding really of all of these great science fiction and fantasy writers and legends. So I applied all of that to each character that was pretty well described in the script. I mean, I knew exactly what, Obi-Wan Kenobi's Merlin, and Solo's a space cowboy. He's a young kind of innocent kid, a farm boy, Luke. And like the Tusken Raiders, I knew they couldn't have sophisticated weapons. They were desert people with nothing but whatever they could scrounge. So I found the Toki Warriors Club, and that kind of fitted. It was things like that. So I just kind of used my instinct, to be honest with you.
Well, good instinct, because you are a main pillar in story in like world building and for aesthetics and everything. So can't thank you enough. So, but interesting what you said about the lightsaber, because everything was kind of from the original vision of Ralph McQuarrie a little bit, but not the lightsaber. So I guess when you were looking at the saber, when you were first trying to see what it would be and look like, what was that aha moment of, oh, this could be the piece for our saber?
That was in the photography store that my friend David French manages, and he rented out cameras to movies. So he rented a lot of Graflex cameras because they were the press camera for the 40s and 50s that were used, and so he had a lot of them. And that was when he told me to look under a bench and found a box and opened the box, and there were 3 Graflex handles, and I just knew as soon as I held it, the weight, the size, the look, had a red button. I mean, it had wonderful things, And as I said, we were only 2 months away from shooting, when we actually got the money, there was no chance to make anything and put it through the workshops. I mean, even the weapons, I had to adapt World War II and World War I weapons because I couldn't even afford to make them or buy any or anything. I rented them from the gun house so that they could be stripped back and sent back again. That was the cheap way to do it. So I kind of was forced into a situation where I really had to use my imagination.
That's cool.
Fantastic.
There's one up here. What is the most accurate Kenobi or Vader saber prop you've seen in person?
Yeah, there we go.
The Vader I have not seen. You'll see. We will announce this at ICC, but I've actually, because I did the Origin saber, the first one. Nia said, "What else did I want to do?" And I said, "I have never felt the saber that Darth Vader carries justifies such an iconic villain." So the next one I'm going to do with Nia is a Darth Vader saber that I think he should have in his hand, and that one we'll be doing. And the only piece in history is actually in the one that Ralph McQuarrie has painted. You can only see the two ends of it, and so I matched the two ends similar. And then what I imagine his saber should be, it's dark and black and
that's cool.
Red veins running through it.
That's cool.
This is one
That's really cool.
I love, what I would like to see. So that kind
That's
of answered
awesome.
that question. And
That's cool. Brian says, Roger, people like yourself is why I got into working in the movie business. I'm currently working on Ahsoka season 2 because of your work. You inspired the generation like myself, so I thank you.
Not at all, and thank you, because Ahsoka's she's a great character, and it's a good series.
Yeah. Darth Christensen says,
and he's working on it. Wow.
Says Mando and Ahsoka felt so much like Star Wars because they also took inspiration from that Kurosawa, like George did for the OG Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's thank God for Dave Filoni.
Yes, absolutely. Roger, what's your favorite lightsaber between Obi-Wan, Luke, and Darth Vader?
I have to say Luke's the original. That one is the favorite. No
there
question.
You go.
Yeah.
Sklebeen, Sklee3PO, what's up, fellas? Just shared the stream to a bunch of Discord channels. Thank you for being in here. Appreciate that.
Nice.
Jar Jar Jargon is in here. Good to see you.
Yes.
Sklebeen says, Roger, you are the man, a living legend. Thank you for being here. May the force be with you.
And for you too. It is with everybody.
Jar Jar says, Roger is the GOAT.
Thank you.
And then we also have here Darth Christensen says Ralph McQuarrie is also an underrated legend. I loved how the OG design for Vader's helmet was in Rebels.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Doug Chang, who's took over from Ralph after he died, and told me whenever he's stuck, even to this day, when he's thinking, how am I going to do that? He'll go through the files and Ralph's already designed it.
Wow.
He'd never stopped drawing. He even if you arrive with a bus ticket, he draws something on the bus ticket. He just never, ever stopped. So there is a whole archive of amazing kind of, and Ralph McQuarrie, I don't know if anyone knew, but he worked at Boeing before George hired him. So he had a very good understanding. He used to draw up jet engines and all sorts of stuff. So his designs are not like the fantasy science fiction that came before. They're all grounded in a kind of used reality from being, understanding of how planes worked.
Yeah. Cam the Movie Man wants to know, Roger, do you have a personal favorite Star Wars movie?
That's a hard one. The first one, no question, Star Wars. I call it Star Wars. That I think encompasses the whole vision of Star Wars, the world, the intentions of George, the Saturday morning cinema with action, adventure, and all of those. I do think it's fantastic. My son, who's 11's favorite, like most kids of that age, is Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
But I did like, I have to say, Phantom Menace when I saw it in the cinema, not just because I directed so much of it for George, but it's a fantastic movie. And anyone going to the cinema, you watch that pod race, it's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I was just watching too, like, you know, the way they got the sounds for that, you know, not just jet engines, but like mixing a bunch of different stuff together.
Yeah.
Like, it was cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, and you know, we owe another great debt to Ben Burt, because without the sound on the lightsaber, it wouldn't have been as iconic as it has become.
Yeah. I even saw on the Light and Magic season 2, they were talking about that pod racer scene too, where like when they crashed, like having to like create like the graphic like particles and everything for the dust and everything inside. It was just crazy. I mean, they took it to a new level with all that digital stuff. So
Yes, yeah, he's a genius. But you know, when you think the first one, the lightsaber sound was a mistake when he walked across in front of a cathode television with a microphone, and it shorted out, and he went, "Wow, that's a good sound."
yeah.
Most other people would throw it away. And he used to play around. He was the projectionist to earn some money while he was a student, and he used to play around with a big flywheel.
Yeah.
Could make different hums, and those two are basically, that's what it is. See, and he, instead of like, you know, any other sound designer would have got his keyboard out and started creating spacey sounds. What Ben did, went to the zoo and he recorded pigs and walruses and played them backwards, and he went out all the time recording, you know, Mustang cars and anything that he could use, telephone wires that were vibrating.
I even heard that he had a friend that called him and had a ceiling fan that sounded weird. So he went over there and recorded the ceiling fan, used that, I think, as part of Sebulba's ship, I want to say. Sebulba's pod racer, I want to say.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, who thinks of that, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why it's so good.
So, Josh Christensen says, awesome choices. I'm always ride or die by Revenge of the Sith, but Phantom Menace is goated too.
Well, Revenge of the Sith has the best lightsaber duel.
Oh, 100%.
No questions
asked. Nope.
And I always say, I think George's intention right at the beginning was at some point he had to do the ultimate fight to the death between the good side and the dark side. And there it is in that one. And that was a brilliant piece of choreography by Nick Gillard. He's another genius part of this.
Yes, and he needs a lot more credit than he's gotten to.
Legend.
He does.
Yeah.
Neo Theory Sabers is really trying to push that for him.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, that lightsaber fight, like Hayden and Ewan did such a good job in that. Like, just it's so good.
They're so talented. I mean, it's like everything you see behind the scenes on that, everything I've watched is like, no, they're actually just really that good. Like, really them the whole time.
They did themselves with a lot of rehearsal.
Yeah,
they got very accurate.
All right, guys, we'll go ahead and we'll pull up the movie here. We'll start in about 5 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll be in trouble otherwise. My son has to go to bed. He's got school tomorrow, and the dog will be up bugging me to get food.
If we need to, we can pause it if you need to go do something too as well. So that's not a big deal. So, oh man, all right, I got it pulled up here. We'll start in about 5 minutes. I'll give people some time if you guys want to watch along. Roger, obviously this is all about you. You're the one that helped create what we know today as Star Wars. So if you think of anything that comes to your mind, just start talking. So we'd love to hear your stories.
All right. I'll just keep going. Yes.
Bless us with knowledge, please.
Yes.
Well, they're figuring out how that I can go these galaxy tours.
Okay.
Which are trips for people to go around all the Star Wars sites in Tunisia. So they're trying to work it out so I could go on the next one in April, the big one.
Oh, that would be sweet. I'm glad. I'm glad you're starting to get credit and recognition for what you've done for Star Wars, Roger. Well, I really am.
I've had to be honest with you. I mean, I kept quite fairly quiet about it, and I'd never abused my friendship with George and everything. And so when we did the book, Cinema Alchemist, Titan, the publishers don't publicize, they don't do anything, they just wait. And so I realized after it had been out for a bit that no one in America knows this book. And when I go to these Star Wars events now, this year I've started and some last year, no one knew it was out. So I thought, you know what, it's not out of ego I'm doing it. This film is going to be studied in universities far into the future.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I am the only person on the planet who knows how everything that we put together in the first one, I had to do it with John Barry. And, you know, and John died of meningitis very sadly on Empire Strikes Back. So the other art directors were basically there to make things work for us. I had to create all this universe. So I realized as a legacy, I have to do it. And that's why I've done Galaxy Built on Hope. That's a bit stuck with the distributors in America, but I'm going to get it back. And at some point I'll get it onto a streamer somewhere, because it's, you know, I've got Guillermo del Toro, who's a huge Star Wars fan, asked to be in it. And he goes throughout the whole documentary giving his take on Star Wars, which is very erudite. I've got Gareth Edwards, who directed Rogue One, which is a fantastic Star Wars movie. And he goes throughout, he kind of makes the chapters work for me with his updates on it. I've got Carl Newman from Fanboys, a whole plethora of people on it. And because I couldn't get the rights for any pieces for the film that would be applicable to what we were doing, I just went out and designed animation sequences, and we did it in higher resolution animation. So I was able to do like the Excalibur and how that influenced it. I was able to do the trench run at the end is based on the Dam Busters.
Okay.
So I animated that whole sequence of the Dam Busters. I've got about 6 in there, different animation sequences, and a lot of interviews with, you know, Bill Harmon, who made the wooden R2-D2 for us and the first land speeder out of plywood from his garage and bits of old polystyrene. He's very funny, Bill. So he's interviewed quite a lot in there. The man who pointed me to the Graflex, David French he's in there. I've got all these people who really are part of Star Wars, how it all happened. So it's a pretty good kind of legacy documentary. I'll see how we do. You know, either if I can't get it done like that, then I'll put it in pieces on YouTube, or we'll do something with it eventually.
Yeah.
I'll get it done.
And it is. And I will say this, I know you're not doing it for ego, but I think the same thing that you told Nia applies to you, that like you're famous now, like, and we want you to become more famous, because the Star Wars that we all love and enjoy, there's a reason that we're all here, and it started with people like you, Roger. So
Thank you.
I know you don't do it for ego, but we do. Like, you are a legend.
No, I love this world, you know, and all the events, you know, George make these movies for families, for 12-year-olds and families, and every Star Wars event, I see the proof of what he did. There are so many families come together. It gives communication between, which is not so easy sometimes now, between parents and children. And I see that so much, you know, and I think he also he actually created a myth for the cinema age, a modern legend. And you know, when I look around the world around me, we need legends, we need heroes, and Star Wars has done that. I just think he gave the world something to believe in. So I'm fully 100% supportive of it as a fan myself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Agree 100%, and that's where I'm at. I always call it a modern mythology.
It is.
So, Roger, you saying that is just like, this is why also such a valued voice in the community, because it's not even about fame at all. It's just what you've done has so much value, and you speaking on it and sharing it with everybody is just a fantastic way to add to that mythology.
Yeah, and I kind of have to, in a way, speak for George, who just can't come out. I mean, he'd be he'd be mobbed.
Yes.
And the book, they republished my book this year, and I'd never asked George for anything, and I asked him if he would write a foreword for me, because he doesn't do it anymore, nothing to do with Star Wars. He's written a very beautiful thank you in it for me as a foreword, and now his name's on the cover, which is, again, these things are worth more than words and, adoration to me.
That's cool. All right, we'll go ahead and get the movie started here. We're gonna watch everything. So once we push play, we'll watch 20th Century Fox, all of it. So
Okay. Cool.
I'll count down here. We'll start at the same time, and then I'll have up in the upper hand corner up here. I'll have a clock going running for people so they can keep up with us here. Let's go back to this, and we're gonna keep Roger up here. So Roger can be the. There we go. Oh, it doesn't work. We'll have to go back to this. All right.
There you go. Yeah, I was getting blocked by the logo.
Because everyone needs to see your face, Outer Rim.
It's a beautiful one that only a mother could love.
I love it. All right, guys, we'll count down here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. Chat, if you guys have any questions for Roger, throw it up, DM us, whatever you guys want. I love that opening crawl, man. Just boom, right at the start.
Iconic.
Where is it? I don't have it. I don't see it. Have you got it? Is it up for you?
Oh, do you?
I don't have
Did
it.
you pull?
Did you pull it up on your own side over there?
No.
Here, let's pause real quick.
I did.
We
I
just
did.
think-
Everybody pause.
Okay.
Everybody pause. If we have to, we'll
Okay.
restart. We're only like 10
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's only like just started.
No, I get no movie.
So we can't technically show it on YouTube. We're all watching it on Disney Plus,
Right.
and then we have a counter that has it all synced together.
Right.
So then everybody can see where the movie is playing.
So how do I see it?
So you'll have to pull up Disney Plus.
How do I do that? Do I go out of this or?
Open up a
New
new
window.
tab. New window, new tab.
I might be in trouble here because I've not used
Oh no, you're good.
Chrome. No, I haven't used Chrome before. So I don't know if let me see, because it automatically signs in. Sorry about this, but
No, you're okay.
Oh no,
you're okay.
fine.
We are here for you.
this
is all good. Not a problem at all. If you guys have any questions, throw them up in the chat. Appreciate all 21 of you in here right now. Man, ICCC is going to be fun. We'll restart it, guys, from the very beginning here.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I may be in trouble here with passwords.
Oh no.
Pesky passwords.
Yeah, because
are.
it automatically does it. No, it doesn't want that one.
Kyber, should I just pull it up?
I don't know
Honestly, I mean,
how I
we
can
made
do
it.
this.
We made it through 3 hours of celebration, and that stream's still standing. So
Should we try it and see what happens?
go for it.
All right.
Worst case, this is the only time it ever airs.
Right. Right. In which case, if you didn't see it now, well, sorry.
Yeah, we'll just bring it up on our screen, Roger.
That would be easier, I must say.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll bring it up on our
Disney
screen here.
Yeah. If YouTube doesn't like it, this will be just a one-time thing for it.
Plus.
Right. All right, here we go, guys. You ready?
Only do it
It
once.
works.
Roger, can you see it here on our?
Hang on. Let me come out of this. Back to,
Actually, let me do this.
where are you guys gone?
Back on the main screen. We're going to play on the main screen now for you.
Okay, that will work. Disney Plus, StreamYard.
It should work considering we're going to be listening to Roger tell stories about it. So
Right.
Yeah.
Real Ben Maynard says, "I feel
Yeah,
that
yeah.
experience on
Okay.
Bastards." You see it now? We're good. You can see the black screen I'm sharing
I
here.
see a black screen.
All right.
Yep.
Commander Jesse, we got in the house. Hello there. Have an absolute blast, boys. Original Trilogy Talk says, "Thank you so much for your contributions to Star Wars and other films, Roger. Legend."
Thank you for enjoying it.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
But, a text from Nerd. They took our stream down.
Oh,
Let's see here. Oh man, I wish we could get it to work on your side.
well, I think I may have got the password now. I've been looking it up while you're doing that.
All right,
Cool.
cool.
So let me have a look if this password works.
I'm still cooking on my end, which is good.
yeah, I think it's back up now that we quit.
Okay. We'll
Showing
wait
it.
here. We'll wait here until Roger kind of gets his thing fixed.
Yeah, it came back up.
No, that one doesn't work.
It's unfortunate that they don't let you do that, especially when you're with one of the creators of the.
Well, we argue about this all the time. All we're doing is promoting their films. No, they
Right.
won't let me do it. here.
Somebody alerted Mickey.
At least they're not as bad as Warner Brothers.
True.
Warner
they're
Brothers
really
and,
bad.
NBC.
NBC's
Right.
Yeah, Universal. They'll go for
Right.
it.
They will, but
Yeah.
I feel like Warner Brothers HBO is just like out to get everybody all the time.
That. It won't let me go in. This is the right password, but see, it's automatic when I'm on Safari.
Do you have Safari on your computer? Is that an Apple or?
Yeah, that's all I use. That's why I was so late getting on, because I had to go and get Chrome up and do all sorts of stuff.
Interesting. Can you click on Safari on your?
Let me see how I can do that. So there's Chrome.
Just be patient, guys. We're gonna try and figure this out so Roger can get it up on his end. I will be right back. I need to go tell the kids good night real quick. I got some young ones,
Yeah.
so I'll be right back while you try to figure that out.
Hey guys, it went back down again.
What? What went down?
The well, maybe you guys are live? We still live?
Yeah, mine's still kicking. Mine's going.
Oh, guess Disney came from me.
Gazers is up. Let's check out a rim. Dang, out of rim, you 5 subs away from freaking 400.
I'm
Way to
so
go, buddy.
close. Thank you. It's slowly but surely getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of rim's up. I'm up. Kyber, are you down? Are you the only one that's not up?
Just must be me. Oh well.
Yeah, now they're sending me a code.
No, you're up, bro.
4, 3, 6, 9.
I just deleted mine off. I don't want to fight it later.
Okay, so
It's only me and my buddy and on my channel on the stream, so I don't think KK's worried about that.
Oh, they saw 4 people on mine and like bring them down.
Well, you know, 3's a party, right? So 4.
Crowd.
Dude, I'm surprised they let mine stay up this long.
okay, I've got it running.
Awesome. Did you guys happen to see where we were when we stopped? I know we're R2 in the canyon.
Yeah, I'm going to go up there.
It was when R2 got shocked. That's when we stopped.
Like right
Yeah,
before, right?
Just when he got zapped.
Yeah.
So about 12:22 maybe?
Can you hear my sound? Or?
I don't hear it now.
Yeah, there he is, zapped. Hang on.
Let me go back to that.
There, he's just fallen over. So if you can you hear me now?
Yes.
So there's the little Jawas. I gave them kind of blunderbusses from the gun hire place because I thought that would suit them. And this was early on in the shooting. And the costume designer was always in my office because I had so much junk. I had 2 rooms filled with junk pieces by the time we started shooting. And so he was always in my office plundering pieces to add on costumes. So you can hear me all right? You guys?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Loud and clear.
This was the biggest set, the Sandcrawler, really, that we had to build. We were a few miles from the Algerian border.
Where are you guys at?
When we were building it, suddenly there was a whole army units arrived, and out come all these officials from Algeria. They were convinced that Tunisia was building a war machine on the border to go and attack and take their oil because there's oil deposits under there. And it took Robert Watts took a lot of explaining to show them that, and it wasn't even called Star Wars then, but they saw wars and a big machine like that, and they didn't understand what a movie was.
Star Wars almost started a
What,
real war.
Yeah.
Wow.
Roger,
So-
are you watching it right now?
Yes,
Where are you at right now on the?
I'm in the junk room on the Sandcrawler where I filled it with every bit of junk I could find, and
There we go.
and
So we
now
got
the
the Gong
Sandcrawler is
droid.
moving
Okay.
away.
All right, I'm right there. It's moving down the hill. Now we got the stormtroopers.
Yeah, stormtroopers. Those are my blasters.
For those
We
of you
already
watching, we are at 15 minutes and about 20 seconds or so.
They've all been added, the creatures. We only had one that head nodded that didn't move.
Gotcha.
That's all we could afford. With his eyes, and you can see them here in the dark, C-3POs, my problem was when I got the job, I wanted them lit. and any bulbs got hot. And by sheer chance, I saw a documentary on the first camera they put down inside a human body. And so I told my buyer who used to get things, I said, you've got to go around every hospital, find these bulbs because they can't be hot. And he found me them. And then I put 3 in the eyes. And somehow we managed to bury a battery in his costume so that we could light them up. And this one here, that one coming down, when I saw that was a piece of airplane junk and scrap, it was put together because John Steers, the effects, and I had to make a load of robots for the lineup. It just reminded me of a Chris Foss painting, the shape of it. So I actually painted this one there exactly like a Chris Foss would do it as one of his. It was a kind of homage to him because he did do some designs for Star Wars first up. You'll see everywhere. See those boxes outside the Luke's homestead, and they're everywhere. And they're here, all in piles of them. We moved them around because I only had so many. They were in the aircraft scrap heaps, and they were the containers that kept the food that heated it up for people for their dinners on the plane. So I got a load of those. No one wanted them. They were just so cheap, everything. So the truth here, it's absolutely true that they had built the exploding head with all the mechanism inside it. So there was no way to get Kenny Baker in there or for us to use it. So this lightweight fiberglass one that Leslie and I had made and kept in secret on the truck that we pulled out on this first day of shooting here, and we had to pull it on the fishing wire because the radio control one never ever worked. We quickly took our blue one, repainted the base red, and put the other head on, and that way we could pull him along and get the shot.
I feel like now I'm just noticing the blue lines on the legs of the red R unit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's Kenny Baker in there jumping about. That's the 2-legged one. There's so many stories here. It's all in Cinema Alchemist of what this was the first day of shooting ever on Star Wars. And when the DP fell out with George and wouldn't speak to him anymore, so Gary Kurtz had to be an interpreter between them. He was so grumpy and awful all the way through the shoot. That's an ILM model that came over, so I used that. We managed to get some warm oil for him, so warmish kind of water for C-3PO to go in. We built a tank into the set there. All of these, I was giving Mark dental tools, bits of anything that I could find that looked appropriate and natural that no one would question. They weren't like science fiction props.
Clone Force 97 says, Mr. Christian, thank you for all you do for Star Wars and helping create something that allows people from all over the world to connect with. P.S. Kyber, nice to have you back on camera finally.
Good.
Thanks, Clone Force.
Macman wants to know whose blaster was your favorite to build?
Han Solo's. I loved his blaster. I thought that really was kind of a great science fiction weapon, but really like a Western.
Yeah. That's cool.
So the little arms on there on the front, I carved those with the wooden one we made. I carved those at home with a penknife because Bill couldn't do it. And his top was a lamp top from a set lamp that managed to fit, and Bill hollowed it out. And then I stuck the reading lights from a passenger Dakota, I think it was, and they've stayed the same. Those little nozzles, they're the things I just stuck in there to make him look a bit better because the wooden one looked terrible.
That's awesome. JT, oh my gosh, what? Gazer, you got this legend on the pod? Sir, I'm a huge fan and can't wait to meet you, Roger. He'll be at ICCC as well.
Good. This was a fun set, actually, to make look real, like a garage, and dripping oil and dirty and old and used and poor. They're poor farmers, you know. And I used anything I could find. I put in all of the downpipes. They're all water pipes from houses. And anything that I could find. There were narrower ones we painted like silver. And then we found a telephone exchange that was an old analog one going out of business. So we bought the lot for £50, I think. There's so many cables and tubes and things here lying around. They all came from this telephone exchange.
Real Ben Maynard wants to know, what was the most difficult prop design?
Probably R2-D2. Because if he didn't work, George didn't have a movie. If we couldn't get Kenny Baker to walk inside him, and it was very difficult. So we built a wooden mock-up one, and finally got it to work. I had an old fighter pilot's helmet I brought in, and Kenny wore R2-D2 like a rucksack. And I think here the transition between like the dirty old garage and the farmstead and everything, and then the pristine kitchen at the back. So there's a question here. So all of this roof detail was there. I didn't change it. We didn't do anything to it. What John Barry came up with the padding, the white padding all around every archway or doorway, which was a kind of homage in a way to what you saw in 2001.
Yeah,
whereby they had the padding, so that we thought looked really good, but here we just stuck it around. The moisturizers carried wherever we were shooting. They were put on trucks and came with us because we only had 2 or 3. We didn't have many. That was the most difficult thing, the blue milk. So here.
Oh, I'm excited for this.
Mark,
No way.
Mark
Everyone's
said it was
favorite.
horrible afterwards. I couldn't get it to work. The blueberries and milk, they curdle, they don't work. So I eventually found a food coloring. I left it with the prop boys on this set because I had to run on to Jerba to get Mos Eisley ready. I had not figured in that milk is actually not very used in Tunisia. So I got a feeling that the props could only find camel milk and probably mixed it into that, because that was a good bit of acting by Mark. He said afterwards it tasted absolutely horrible.
Oh my God. Blue camel milk. Amazing.
Yeah. And these, this was an amazing, I mean, when we were there, I slept there because I didn't want to do the drive every night for 30 minutes through winding roads back down to the town. But it's an amazing kind of design process that John Barry did, mixing this underground to this, which he built on the salt flats.
Macman wants to know, what are your thoughts on Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni Star Wars?
They're doing a fantastic job. I pray to them every day. And right to the extent, if you think of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, when at the end of that, Obi-Wan has to dig up the lightsaber. And because this set decorator on Empire, who, as I said, shouldn't have been doing Star Wars or any science fiction movie, stuck rivets around the handle of mine, which made it look like a human being had made it, which I just hated, and a bit of computer chip kind of interface instead of my bubble strip. And that carried on right through Star Wars, unfortunately. So I waited to see what Dave had given Obi-Wan to dig up in the desert. And to my relief, he dug up my original.
Wow.
No rivets in it. So he's that careful. Beautiful here. I love Tunisia, and I love doing this, working here at night. I mean, it was just amazing. Just nothing. There's nothing but salt flat, and it just happened to work where we could put the sand crawler and the dune where the twin suns were, and then very close to it were the valley where they could go. So all of this, John just left it. That's what it was. We put in the panels and we put in little bits of plaster around, and then I just had to dress it to look like old technology. And here's something interesting. So look at the shape of the kitchen she's in. John thought if they're on a far remote planet, everything would have been brought in units, and he designed these exactly the same shape as an airliner cabin.
Oh yeah.
I see it.
I see it now.
Yeah.
So this here, the you can even see it here, the mirror. That was my idea as well, because I noticed the desert shot would reflect if we put a mirror at 45 degrees, and it worked.
So what was the process like in creating the Tuscans?
The Tuscans?
Yeah.
Again, it was John Mollo, because he'd never done a film like this. He was always in getting stuff, and I and my prop boy showed him how to age down sackcloth and things like that to make them look real. George actually asked me to do it. He said, could I go and help John Mollo? Because he doesn't understand. He's never done it before. So we showed him how to really chew up the sackcloth and make it look, very much. Everything had to be real. That's what I thought. And if I'd done my job properly, no one would ever notice.
Yeah.
That's my gaffy stick that I found. And like everything, I found a mace end, and I stuck the mace just to change it up. Everything I did, I changed a little bit.
That's cool.
This here is very similar. When you see these bits, we had to break in it, and we had to do on the spot. His arm got torn off here, so we had to do that, and I had to get bits of junk and expose it, all of these things. I took truckloads of junk from London. Here, Darth, when he arrives, Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's very similar to Merlin arriving at the beginning of Excalibur, when he comes out of focus and walks into the set, and this is a mystic, this is a powerful being. And for anybody who says that Sir Alec Guinness was in this just for the money and didn't do it, in this first shot he ever did here, he was waiting to go on camera, and on his own, with nobody telling him, he got down in the dust and rolled in the sand until he got all of the dusty on the costume. You can see it clearly now. That's a man, however much of a legend in theater and movies, Academy Award winner he was, he really took this seriously.
That's cool. MacMan wants to know, the Banthas are elephants in costume, correct?
Yes. And they were shot in America. They weren't shot in Tunisia. There were no elephants in Tunisia. So they were zip suits they put on them. And I think they only had one or two. They just had to duplicate.
We have 52 people in here, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, good. So this valley is special. You know, this valley, it runs east to west, so it's beautifully lit, sunrise and sunset. It was used in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was used in The English Patient. When I shot, I had to go my unit and go and shoot on Phantom Menace when they were shooting the pod races. I said to George, for good luck, I want to go to the same position above where they were looking down on R2-D2 traveling. And he said, are you sure? Because everything has to go up in donkey and the crew will hate you. But I just wanted to do it for reasons that, you know, nostalgia and continuity.
That's cool. Ben Maynard says Alec Guinness's performance in this movie has always been and continues to be my most favorite performance of any actor out of the entire franchise.
He embodies, you know, just simple words that come out of him, and that's who he is, Alec Guinness. It was a master stroke of casting. This here is a Ralph McQuarrie painting exactly.
Wow.
So this set I really liked doing because I was putting ethnic old bits and pieces in there, and there's a big part of a jet engine cowling and everything that I made into a stove at the back.
That's cool.
And this is the first time that we tried out the idea that I came up with of this stick in the lightsaber. See the Airpark crafts? That's like I made it into a stove.
It's awesome.
And when I went to do the documentary, you hardly see George never went close up. Oh, here's a lightsaber. Here's this.
Oh man, there it is.
He just did it like a documentary. That's what George always told me. He was making a documentary. So I actually had to animate sequences to make it work, that what we were doing. And then they had to stop shooting, and then we added in my stick, and it got enough light to enable the ILM boys. They had a rotoscoper. They painted every frame of the light blade.
Wow.
It looks great.
See, and the props they didn't question it. They weren't like having plastic guns that looked like toys and stuff. Alec Guinness, they never questioned, oh, this was a lightsaber handle.
And it's all worn in looking. It's like perfect. It's just plastic feel. Sometimes some of the newer stuff, you can pick up on it in some of the props or sets. It's minute, but I never get this feeling with what you worked on and everything from the originals.
Exactly. You can see how nicely aged his costume is, Alec Guinness, and all of that.
Yes.
We were all together in it, the designer, the costume designer, and us.
So was it the intention for Luke's original design with the white robes and farmer gear? Is that more of a sign of like youth, purity,
yes,
kind of innocence?
Yeah, absolutely. These there are little Tunisian, those things there on the table. They often use rose oil, and they would pour a bit of rose oil, a few drops on the couscous or in the coffee.
It's interesting that you bring that up with the closed outer rim, because then Empire Strikes Back, he's got gray on.
Yes.
And then in Return of the Jedi, it's black. He's seen stuff, like
with the white flap when he opens it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was all designed by George. He thought about everything.
Visual cues, right?
Yes, exactly.
Hand in hand with what you're hearing. It's all about what you see, and eventually, hopefully one day, what you could touch.
Yeah.
So Roger, it sounds like from the beginning, George was telling you, we're filming this like it's a documentary. So almost as if it's from the point of view of someone else. And I think it's been stated, or he said, like, it's from one point the point of view of the wills of the Force, which is very much like what he was maybe going towards, or from the point of view of the droids. So can you confirm that's kind of where he was going from the beginning?
Right. Absolutely, yes. It was very much on purpose, and he showed the crew Once Upon a Time in the West, the Sergio Leone movie, and that inspired so much of the look and the way he wanted it, with everything, the costumes particularly in that. It's a great seeing those.
Yes.
Yeah. I echo what MacMensch said. One of my favorite lines from Alec is him explaining the Force to Luke.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So all the panels here are all stuck on, like stapled on. They're just almost plastic. And this set here, the DP came on the set and said, I can't light this, and walked away to get John Barry fired and said it was his fault. So John Barry, being who he is, said, okay, then I'll light it, and got the gaffers to start putting in the lights above there, like around the top there, so they just filter down. And then word got to Gil Taylor, who was in the producer, Robert Watt's office, trying to get John fired for being a set that he couldn't light. And they said, well, John's lighting it. They're carrying on down there. So he had to come back with a tail between his legs and carried on.
Clone Force wants to know, what was the most frustrating prop to work with?
Blue milk was one. Definitely one. And the worst one was the bar that Han Solo has to try to hold the garbage incinerator to hold the doors apart when they're closing. That was horrible. All these bits of props you see they have in their pockets, all of those are like from little pistons and stuff that the special effects are building for robots and things.
I love how in the new shows they like use them as like keys, to get into like.
Yes.
What was it like working with Peter Cushing?
Yeah, again, just these are legends to me.
Yeah.
The black table center piece there I put in, and that's really all the dressing I wanted to put. I kept it simple. That was a heater. I cut the wires off and painted it black. Here, when I found the skeletons, when I found the skeleton of the dinosaur, there were two bodies in there, and I dragged those out and thought, oh, that's it, because I didn't know how to have the money to make Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. So we put them down, and then I got the special effects boys to put a bit of smoke in it to hide them a bit better. And we used that there. And then all this junk I took down. There wasn't any junk in Tunisia. I mean, everything was used then. It was a very poor country. So they thought I was nuts taking junk through 5 countries on a truck to Tunisia. But I'd been there and I saw, and there wasn't any. And these were the 2 skeletons that I found by chance. They were already done like this, so I just added a bit of
now there's a theory out there that in the Empire, when Darth Vader tells Boba no disintegrations, that this was Boba's work. There's a theory out there. Yeah, that Boba is the one that
canonically it's true now.
Is it really?
Canonically it's true in the comics, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh. Really?
Like in the first 10 issues, they established that.
It's too.
And the hero's journey begins.
Yes. This. So this we somehow maneuvered around, hung it on, and the big awful needle. That's the needle they use if you've got rabies.
God.
It's like a horse syringe.
Poor Leia.
This here, that tunnel looked so long because it was a mirror placed halfway down, and it reflected the rest of it down. Again, that was another huge argument with the director of photography. He said it wouldn't work, and so John Barry rushed up to his office, made a model of it in small scale, and showed him, put a little hand mirror in it, and showed George how it worked. And George again overruled him and said, "Do it."
Was the DP ever tired of being wrong?
No, he was just a grumpy human being. Very talented. He'd done some amazing movies. I don't know what happened to him, but he shouldn't have been doing this. So with the speeder, when we made the first mock-up, John Barry designed it just like the script and made it a 4-seater. And then George saw it and said, no, Luke would have a 2-seater, an old little crashed up sports car. And George said, don't worry, I'll fit them all in. I'll work that out. These are added special effects shots, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So that there, when we come out, this is all new footage. We didn't have any of that. But when we did the canteen exterior, see the crashed spaceship there? The square where the cantina is was just beautiful, dusty, looked like what it should be. But right there in the square was a big, beautiful green olive tree. And we could never cut that down. That was somebody's living. So John designed this huge skeleton frame of a crashed spaceship that was literally as big as a Boeing 747. So again, I grabbed a load of the Death Star panels that were printed out and got up and stapled them on and got a blowtorch, and I just aged it all down and then got the same sand colored paint and just spread it in there. So it's here, there it is. But that's hiding a tree. That's the whole reason that is there.
Never knew that.
But you see, that's become canon. That every single Star Wars movie has crashed spaceships in it.
Mm-hmm.
Another happy landing.
Yeah. And all we had to do here, John just added one of the dome tops, but other than that, so the exterior of the cantina, we built the little bit on the door. David West Reynolds went back on his own in, I think, 1977, because he felt that all these places should be there for people to go and find. He found the cantina door, and it was literally used by one of the farmers keeping the chickens in. And he found one of the domes from the top of the cantina was upside down for the goats, and he kept water in it. This was a pretty...
What was your reaction to hearing the music for the first time when you were watching it?
It just was so right.
Yeah.
So the entire bar is parts of my aircraft scrap pile, and they anodized them gold, and they used all my water piping in between so that it was all hooked up. All of this is water piping. We just used whatever I could. And there, I thought, because it's smoky, that was my version of a cigarette machine. There's flashing lights. See, these are all aircraft parts. They're anodized gold. So again, the draftsman who thought I was mad bringing in all this airplane junk and didn't know what on earth I was intending, finally realized, oh, okay, and they would go down and find the pieces and then draw them into the sets. That's how it worked. This was the first lightsaber being used, but of course you don't really see it. It's so fast.
One of the few times a lightsaber caused gore.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's one of the only times ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then George kind of did it again in Empire.
Yes.
In the beginning with the ice monster.
Yes.
Yeah. And you kind of got a snippet of it in like Phantom Menace when Obi-Wan strikes down Maul.
Yes. Yeah.
You kind of get a little bit there too.
Just a little, and then if you pay attention in Revenge of the Sith, you see a little bit of Dooku's head.
Yeah, outside the cantina there, I was determined to make it look like a science fiction Star Wars version of a Western hitching post. So I got every bit of vehicle, anything I could find, and we put it outside there. Here, I know that Hans shot first because I had to rig the table.
Thank you for confirming.
Boys,
yes,
and prepare it for him to shoot through under the table.
So
what do you think of the McClunky? What do you think of the McClunky add-on line?
The cantina just kind of really nailed the whole space Western vibe, though. That's for sure.
So interesting with the design of the cantina. Actually, the one that Ralph McQuarrie designed didn't work for the action. So John Barry redesigned it, and that's this version here. I noticed that they'd used it in The Mandalorian, the original design.
Simply Pixel wants to know, Mr. Christian, did you envision Star Wars being so popular with children from the beginning?
I thought it would be, yes, because George told me personally, he said, I make it for 12-year-olds. That's my audience. So I think, that Saturday morning cinema, the kind of Errol Flynn swashbucklers, all of those, that was who he wanted it.
By the way, shout out to the Millennium Workshop. If he's watching, he just made a sick Greedo helmet.
Really?
Yeah, whole headpiece. It's sweet.
Very realistic looking.
Yeah. We have 60 people in here. Thank you for everyone watching.
So, Roger, I heard you mention the new CGI footage that George added in. Do you think that it was perfect the way it came out in 77, or do you like the changes that he added to it?
Well, I understand, George. This shot's a different gun. They shot that in Los Angeles because George didn't have time to do the pickups under the table. And they took a Japanese toy that's slightly different to the Han Solo pistol that you'll see Han using. It's a Japanese toy that was a reproduction of the blaster, and that the only thing they shot there was the close up of the blaster.
Galactic Cantina, you're not wrong. We are all big 12-year-olds here.
Right. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like.
I know, obviously, watching this movie for the first time and all put together, I mean, the whole thing was satisfying. But like, what do you feel for you as you watch this movie was like the most satisfying piece to see finally put together?
I think that Tunisia, using Tunisia as a planet, it's an old kind of buildings like this that's never been done before, never been seen before, and I think that created an undisputably real feeling for it.
Yeah,
and it kind of combined westerns and 2001 look.
Yeah.
And what I do prefer, what he changed. I mean, it was Jabba the Hutt, as we all know, was a very large actor in the first film, so that's better having Jabba now he could do it. He couldn't do it before.
Yeah.
That was beyond the capabilities. So some of the things I understand, George. It was not what he ever wanted. He never got what he envisaged it should be.
By the way, guys, for everyone watching, we are at 52-41 right now. 52-43, 52, so right in that area, 52, 53.
And the Millennium Falcon was just John explained when we first met George Lucas, John Barry and I in Mexico. John went up to San Francisco to meet, and he met Ralph McQuarrie there, and he had to explain to Ralph how to do a matte painting, that we could afford to build half the Millennium Falcon, and we had to do a real one because they're acting under it and they run into it with a fight going on. So Ralph McQuarrie had read about it, a matte painting, and when he got back to Los Angeles, he thought, well, they paint them on glass, and he didn't have any glass panels, anything that size, so he took the shower door off and painted the second half of the Millennium Falcon on his shower door.
The attention to detail here, like behind this and on the Millennium Falcon, you see that that hit of the laser blast, like even small things like that are just.
Yeah, we put all of that in, and we put all this junk and stuff. It mixed in between them making it, and used, bits of aircraft, undercarriage, everything, just again, oily and old and used and broken. That, I mean, Luke's revolutionary then.
Luke's line says it best. It's a piece of junk.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all amazed, and in the universe, they're like, "This is junk." It's like,
yeah. I think that it really made Star Wars credible.
Yeah.
There you go. It is made of junk, a lot of it.
Macman says, all I'm hearing is that you guys were all ahead of your time.
Yeah, we didn't have a choice. This was the first set we ever did, the cockpit. Again, with very little money, it couldn't shake or move. So John built it on huge truck tires with 4 long, I think they were 2x4s planks, and the grips could go either side of it and move it around.
Simply Pixel wants to know, would you ever consider a cameo role in a Disney production, even just voice lines over a transmission?
Yeah, maybe. I don't think they'd have me.
They should.
So this,
even that cockpit scene where like he's in there and it's like bouncing back and forth, like he's
that's
like
that's grips, bumping it up and down.
Okay.
That's the only way that it could be done. And, you know, they had Harry Lang, who did an art director on 2001. He did this cockpit. And then I kept telling him, I'm going to go and really mess it up, Harry, once you've finished. And he called me boy. They all did. I was so young. And he kind of said, okay, boy. So I took his nice science fiction seats out and put in old fighter pilot seats and added all these bits of dressing around, anything that I could stick in there to make it look more junk-like rather than too sophisticated. Harrison saved my bacon because when he jumps to hyperspace, those levers were just, I couldn't get them to work and we didn't have time to do it. So Harrison made it work with props that didn't work. He saved my bacon a few times. I'd always go to him and say, I need your help, Harrison.
Roger, have you had the chance to experience Galaxy's Edge, and what were your thoughts?
No, I haven't been.
He's not. All right,
No.
there you go. Bricks wants to know, have you ever done conventions before? Or is ICCC the first?
No, I've done, I was at Comic-Con in Toronto. I was at Celebrations in Orlando and San Diego very early on. I was there at Comic-Con, the big one. So, yeah, I've done quite a few. And
Roger, we better see you in LA for the 50th.
Well, you know, I have to be invited. You can't just go. So it'll be down to see what they say.
Even if you're not invited, you can come hang out with us. We'll all be there. We'll walk around as a friend group.
We're going.
Have fun.
Do you still communicate with those at Lucasfilm, or is it more just
Lucasfilm,
like personal
I'm
contact?
part of the family. They have no problem with me doing anything. They have permission. They call me the gatekeeper. They know that I will never do anything that's derogatory to Star Wars. So, and George writing this forward now for my book means that I am fully endorsed by George. It's just Disney have a bit of a problem. They know, you know, they've flown me to the ranch to film some looking at archives and all sorts of stuff, and they take me to the premieres, but they've never had me involved in the making.
Macman wants to know, Roger, if you could make a new Star Wars movie, what would you do?
I was always intrigued by this set here. Was my crowning achievement on Star Wars. Sorry to break in there.
No, you're good. You're good.
I think, you know, this is where I really went to work with the junk and the space junk and everyone thinking I was mad, what I was doing, sticking props in instead of building sets and stuff in the old-fashioned way. And I think this really set the tone. And I was sticking the junk in, the pipes, and layering it. It looked terrible while we were doing it. And that seat is from the Millennium Falcon, from the cockpit. We had to move it around. So it looked terrible. And then I kept the prop boys layering it. And it has to be engineered. It doesn't work. You can't just be random. Ships aren't like that, nor are submarines. Everything's triple or duplicate. And so I carefully got it all up there. And then we added all the oil and the drips and made it look old and grimy. And I noticed then when people were coming onto the set in EMI Studios, they were aghast. People were going, wow, this is like a ship. So this was my test. I was crossing my fingers because I honestly didn't know it would work because it had never been done before. It was a wing and a prayer, really.
That's cool.
And this was, you know, in the original one, we were just hanging it on a piece of string, moving it around. It's Great set. I love this set. And this is where I moved on to Alien and with Ridley's Mind and wanted the Nostromo as an army truck. That I fully went to town on the Nostromo based on what I learned how to build this set.
That's cool.
To answer that previous question, I was always intrigued by George saying that he thought about doing a real prequel movie to Star Wars set way back in time and where it kind of all started to come from, and it might have had been more Western-like. I thought that would be really interesting to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it just works, you know, the motives of that John Barry was so clever with these padding around. It just gives you enough sense that this is actually a spaceship.
Yeah. And it's a spaceship that's been around for a while.
Yeah, it's been around, and then I wanted it to look like an old submarine interior. It's very cleverly constructed by George when you listen to the dialogue. There's my heater. See, it's just a Peter. I just cut the cord off and had them straight black, and I stuck that on the table, and I thought, that's it. Graphic. There it is. It's graphic, like a communicator. John designed the chairs. We couldn't find any chairs that would look right, so he designed those quickly. Mine's cut off, so you can't see my dice hanging. I think they were just there at the top of the frame. They're only in a few shots. And then again, the DP, I think he felt they were in the way, so he took them out and they never appeared again. But that was a good story. That's no moon.
Space station.
Such a great scene. That cockpit shape, when you're looking out the window, that's very similar to a World War II Lancaster bomber.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
I think it's a Lancaster, but it might be the American one.
The B-52 bomber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's before that. They were in World War II.
Yeah, I think it was the B-52. Let me look.
It was?
Roger, and you said when you moved, that was with putting like big truck tires on it to give it that bouncy effect?
He built it on truck tires, which had movement, and then 4 or 5 grips either side could then push it up and down and move it around. So they were the grips. Anyone who was there, electricians, whoever was handy, would help to bounce it
Roger, are you thinking this one here up in the corner right here, the silver one? Is that what it was kind of made after? That's a
Which
World
one?
War II plane up there, up here on the top right corner. Got the many windows in it. Is that kind of what?
The lighting?
No, for the plane cockpit.
Oh, no, the whole shape of it. It's exactly the same as a bomber
Gotcha.
from World War II. It's the same pattern, like silhouetted. It's not a B-52 because they weren't around in World War II. I'd looked it up. No, I can't remember.
Here, is it this one here? Let me. Okay, this one on the top right corner up here, or the right next to the big picture here.
I can't see anything
Oh, okay, never mind.
because I'm on.
Yeah, that's right.
If I can move it down a bit. No, I can't. I've just got the screen now, nothing else.
It's all good.
So that's why we built this set way up high on a platform so that we could get them down into the underneath the cockpit, under the corridor floor, especially Chewie.
Yo, Battle Pack's in the house. What's up, Battle Packs? Good to see you. We got 7
what's up, man?
people in here.
BP.
Macman says, huge shout out to John Williams, by the way. His music adds so much to all of this already
Yes.
amazing stuff.
Yeah, no question. So simple, but it works. My blaster's based on the Sterling's submachine gun. When I first showed George, they were the first props I made. The joy was you could fire them single shot and you got a flame at the end and a puff of smoke.
That's cool.
When these battle scenes started, we were using it, but they were built left-handed, so the shells kept hitting other stormtroopers, so they deemed it was unsafe. And so George had to add it in later. It's a shame because it really was. It was part of the reason I wanted guns that looked real and were real and worked.
Okay. Real Ben says that according to Chat GPT, the cockpit was influenced by the Boeing B-29 Superior Fortress.
That's it, the Fortress. That's the one.
Thank
Correct.
God for Chat GPT.
It's the Fortress. If you look at it, it's exactly the same pattern. The window bars. It's exactly that.
Yep. This is the one that I pulled up earlier. Yeah. That's cool.
we messed him up a lot, as you can see, C-3PO. He's so shiny now in all the films, new ones and everything, but I thought he looked more real like this.
Mm-hmm.
So, Roger, I know you've told us the stories about Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson making the lightsaber noises
Yes.
while they were filming. I've heard some stories that Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford like didn't take shooting scenes very serious unless Alec Guinness was like on set or with them. Is that true?
They were very well behaved when Sir Alec was there. There's no question. He has such a gravitas as an actor. And they were great friends, kind of doing script dialogue that they never thought humans would say, but they kind of made it work, and their personalities kind of took over, very much like Harrison and Mark and Princess Leia. I mean, they were very, very well cast. Another simple matte painting.
Did you help make any of the casting decisions or anything, or sit in on any of that?
No, not at all. We were so busy trying to work out how on earth to make this movie with so little money. I was 7 days a week, long hours, every day. There was no break, no holidays, no Sundays. There were no bank holidays, nothing. Dang. We were just so against the gun to try to pull this off and to make it the best that we could possibly make it.
George ended up getting really, really sick, didn't he?
Well, stress. Yeah, from the crew. You know, they tried. You know, Fox tried to get him fired off his own movie 3/4 of the way through because of the complaints by Gil Taylor, the DP, the editor, who said the film couldn't be cut together and didn't work. The special effects head went with Gil Taylor's side. See, there's a tunnel with a mirror in that made it look way longer. That wasn't that long.
That's cool.
Oh shoot!
Simple techniques, but they work. That's only as just past that man standing there. That's where it ended. But there was a mirror there, and you put it at the right angle.
Ben wants to know, we all know about George's reaction to John Williams' music. With Roger being involved with the props and set, what was your reaction to John's music?
To which one?
We all know about George's reaction to John's music, seeing the movie, but he wants to know what your reaction was to the music.
To what? Sorry, the gun. There's so much gunfire. You're
so good.
Loud here.
Your reaction to John's music.
Huh?
Your reaction to John Williams' music.
You hear me?
No. Yep, we can hear you.
Just wait until this gun firing stops and then ask me the question. I can't understand what the question is. Okay, now.
So he wants to know, we know George's reaction to hearing John Williams' music. What was your reaction?
Oh, yeah, the same. I was lucky because it was recorded in London.
Okay.
In the old Rank huge studio. So I was there. I went down and sat in and listened, and it just gave me goosebumps.
That's cool.
To hear the London Symphony Orchestra playing like that.
That's cool.
It was just so right and big and, you know, dynamic.
I love that boring conversation anyway.
That hole there was one of the sets where the special effects boys put way too much gunpowder. Blew the entire set went white. You couldn't see anything. George yelled cut and made sure everything was okay. And the special effects head walked in front of the crew and said, "Oh, it's the art department. They made all these weak sets." He always had an excuse.
Jeepers.
It's exactly like in the desert, the first shot, when the very first shot we ever did was R2-D2 coming down, and he crashed, fell over, knocked another robot over. And the special effects head walked in front of the crew and said, "It's the blooming taxis," which meant they were upsetting his radio control. We were 3 miles in the desert and another 3 or 4 from a little sleepy town where there was a few donkeys, one donkey cart and one car. It's
Jeepers.
an excuse that he used in London all the time, that the taxis were upsetting.
Well, some people just don't know how to do anything other than make excuses.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate. He's very talented. He was very good at what he did, but there were a few things that he got a bit over enthusiastic. He was never asked back, nor was the DP. So.
Yeah.
So this set here, you can imagine, I had the actors in water stinking because of the heat in the set. I had to fill it with junk. I couldn't put in metal pieces that would cut or harm them. And polystyrene, which you can paint, is lightweight, but if it ever breaks, it's white inside. So I found a way to inject paint inside, so that would work. And the rest of it is bits of rubber, junk, anything I could find.
Dang. More plane parts?
Everything. So
junk from London.
The big pole was so big. I got 2 of the longest 12 feet drain piping, found something I could put in between in the middle. And then when Harrison came down, I said, "Harrison, I need your help here because I cannot make this stay straight." So he said, "Oh, don't worry, Roger, I'll do it. I'll make it work." He was a huge help to me, Harrison. This scene too, because they couldn't ever get this to work except for that. And in a way, it's like Jaws. The less you see, the more impactful this is. And if you'd seen the creature that they'd done drawings of, Ralph McQuarrie and everything, I think it wouldn't have been as impactful as not knowing what it is.
There's so much fear in the unknown, right? So that eye itself in this version of it is enough because no one knows what it really looks like.
It was the hottest summer on record in London. And, you know, we never had that before. So there was no air conditioning. I tell you, this set stunk. I mean, once it was dressed in this water, it was stinking, the smell. These poor actors. But they were troopers.
And it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, you can see bits of polystyrenes floating there, but I managed to not expose any of the white ever.
Good thing it's a garbage chute.
Yeah.
So anything could be down there.
I got everything I could find anyway. It was a huge set to fill up.
As a kid, the garbage monster always scared me to get in my grandma's pond.
I bet. So we had to cut, and then he had to get hold of the pole, and he was literally holding it straight. It just wouldn't ever. It's very long. That little communicator, comlink, I was in John Barry's office. It wasn't in the script at that point. I was in John Barry's office. I'd taken some plumbing pieces to show him because he said, could I bring some? He was drawing something for the, I think for Uncle Owen's and Aunt Barry's kitchen. And the phone rang, and then George said, oh, okay. And he looked at me and said, George has changed. He wants a communicator to go on the set for the stormtroopers. And as he said it, I undid the piece of pipe that went under the sinks, and that little filter dropped into my hand, literally. And I looked at it and went, oh, there it is. I think I added one grip round it and took it straight down to the stage. George looked at it, smiled, and it went into the stormtrooper's hand, and that was it.
Yeah.
Became the communicator, the
That's
comlink.
awesome.
That's so cool.
Macman says, what an incredible smell you've discovered. He wants to know, was that a fourth wall breaking line from from Harrison?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it here when he thinks he's killed him. And he's
Yeah.
like, oh no, he's just
Hear
all
them.
worried.
Yes.
They're dying down there.
And again, with all the junk, we had to make these so the grips could push these walls in. They were made on tracks in the underneath the water. It worked.
Very convincingly well.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive the trash compactor scene in this movie is exactly why I have claustrophobia.
Really?
This was like one of the first movies I ever saw growing up. I was like 4 or 5 years old when I saw it.
Imagine being crushed, Dad.
Yeah. Well, it would be frightening for a kid.
They're dying all too.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love 3PO.
Yeah. You had to really be economical with the sets and reuse pieces. And this was, it's early use of a matte painting, but it really worked well.
The scale and the depth that these paintings offered, it's when you notice it's a painting, if you see like a picture or something, I couldn't believe it the first time.
Shoot, it almost 50 years later, and I still can't believe how great it looks. It looks better than movies that come out nowadays.
I agree.
I like he shakes his head no. Your worshipfulness.
Yeah. I think I could only afford 20 blasters, so we made up some rubber ones for the background.
I've always loved the little like blaster banter that these two troopers are having.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm just now noticing, after countless times of watching this movie, that Han still has the utility belt.
Really? Yeah.
I just noticed it.
You just noticed?
He takes the stormtrooper utility belt. So does Luke.
Yes.
See, I knew Luke had it because he uses the grappling hook when they lock themselves in that one room. But I never noticed Han.
I love his face when he turns that corner and looks up and sees all those stormtroopers, and he's like, ah! Like...
Yeah, see, I always knew Luke had the belt in this room.
This scene, John Barry came up with this idea when he was up at the ranch with George and Ralph McQuarrie, and then he said, George, you base it on Saturday morning cinema. They always swung across a canyon or across a chandelier. You should do that across the Death Star Canyon. And George wrote that in.
Mr. Michael himself, owner of ICCC, is in here. Good to have you, sir. Says Greedo never got a shot off.
This scene's music, when he finally leaps
Yes.
across, is the most Saturday morning cartoon style music. At the entirety. It's crazy.
You know, in the 30s, there's Robin Hood with Douglas Fairbanks swings across the canyon, and Errol Flynn swings across chandeliers. This all came from that.
This part I've always loved too.
Yes, me too.
Close the blast doors. Open the blast doors.
Yeah.
And this is the first scene in Star Wars I've ever seen or ever saw when I was little.
Yeah.
Was so confused why a robot was fighting an old man.
So how did you guys come up with like the Jedi, like, you know, Obi-Wan's, you know, Jedi robes? Because obviously they use them again throughout the entire
That very, very close to monks.
Okay.
Buddhist monks. George is a Buddhist, so
Okay.
they're very close. So, and we made, you know, part of the reason of using the sticks, we made, before we started shooting, we all made a decision the blades shouldn't go through each other, because you think, oh, they're light blades, they would. But we wanted it based on samurai sword fights, how they would clash.
Yeah.
And I think that helped.
Michael says this scene, ICCC says, this scene is the reason why I purchased my first surround sound system. When the door opens a bit and Leia says they're coming through, surround sound bounces it off all the walls. THX for the win.
So the one thing that John Steers did very well, to put my stick inside, he drilled out my handles, but he put a motor in there to turn the sticks, and he put it tiny bit off center so they vibrated a little bit, and that helped to make the light blade. You can see it, especially in the rehearsals on YouTube and stuff, if you look. But you can even see here the glimmer. A lot of that's for real, then enhanced with rotoscoping.
Got 78 people in here. Currently, we are at 1 hour and 32 minutes.
Right, yes.
So
this is the moment Kenobi knew his job was done.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
physically, his job was done.
Well, in the script, he lived to the end. It was George's most difficult lunch he had, because he had to take Alec Guinness to lunch during the shoot and convince him that he should kill him off. Because George realized after this scene, he wasn't in it at all. So he was just going to disappear. And he came up with that idea that he should, he had to kill him off. And Alec Guinness, in the end, believed George and believed he was right and allowed himself, his character, to go. You know, and actors don't want to lose any line. They don't want to lose anything.
Yeah.
They'll hang on to any bit of a performance. This is a very nice set, this one.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, anytime I'm watching like Star Wars and they're just chilling in the Millennium Falcon, the first thing that comes to my mind is this would be a great place to take a nap.
Right?
Just go on a road trip, just chilling there.
Like, especially when they're
so down.
Especially when they just got hyperspace just going on,
right,
like in the background. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I could easily fall asleep, and no matter what the situation is. I've also always wanted the Millennium Falcon to be real, so I could use one of these swivel guns.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Now, was this the same type of like design thought as far as like those bombers in World War II that had
from
the
World
little
War
turret
II.
underneath?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. There were always gunners who were very vulnerable because they were sticking out. They had to be.
Yeah. Star Wars Closet, welcome in. He wants to know, speaking of Obi-Wan, which lightsaber was your favorite? Obi-Wan's Phantom Menace lightsaber or the one he constructs after becoming a master?
The very first one we made.
Okay.
With the rifle grenade and the bit of a Derwent engine, Rolls-Royce engine, and those. I liked that original one because it had, you know, as I said, I needed a contrast to an old man who was a desert mystic. And I wanted it to have that kind of feeling. And you don't identify anything in it. It just feels right. So I was really upset when I was directing Second Unit on Return of the Jedi. And I noticed that the lazy set deck, I call them, they'd lost Darth Vader's blasters on a lightsaber from Empire Strikes Back. They didn't have any, so they said, "Oh, we better give him a new one." They just took Obi-Wan Kenobi's and took one little piece, changed on the rings on a piece of the machine gun. That was it, and that's all. See, that was the excuse there. I would have, and that's the one I've now designed, and I've finished the design. It's now almost finished to be manufactured. We'll expose that quite soon.
That's cool.
I can't wait to see it.
Star Wars Theory and I will announce it. I think he wants to do pre-sales on it, but that is what I think. What I've done is what Darth Vader should have had, and if I'd have been the set deck, I would have done it. And then we had the time and the money to make one, unlike the first film where there was just no way.
Yeah. I know it's episode 3's cleaner version, but here's the Obi-Wan's master lightsaber.
That's from episode 3, you said?
Yeah, this is episode 3. But it's the same
as the episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now what's happened with my sound's gone?
I swear, this movie gets better every time I watch it.
It does. It's timeless, and that's why it's become such a it's engraved in the culture and
more than just a phenomenon.
Yes. Yeah.
It's impeccable.
Yeah.
Storytelling, cinematic, like artistic expression.
And it stands on its own as a perfect kind of myth with a happy ending. You know, the hero's journey, he comes through, he triumphs. The selfish Han comes through, showing he actually has a heart of gold.
Yeah, this movie could easily just be a one and done, but I'm so glad that everyone loved it and that George expanded upon it.
Yes.
I wanted to ask this earlier then, based off of that exact line of thought. Was there any mention at all of I want to do another one, or I have a continuation?
No, he had 3 mapped out fully. He'd written 3. He divided them up. These were aircraft that, you know, when they pull the airliners, when you're taxiing out from the terminal, they link up. These things are I think about 2'6" high. They're very flat. So I got those and dressed them up and put them in. I got some from the airport. But yes, no, he had it all mapped out, George. And the success of this enabled him to finance the others himself. Everything he ever did then was financed. So there were no producers, no studios telling him what to do.
Best way to do it.
Yeah.
George was the mastermind. That
Thank God for merchandising.
Yeah. He had such a bad time after American Graffiti and THX.
Also
he vowed to have nothing to do with Hollywood ever again, and he never did.
It sounds also that even people on the own set were trying to get him taken off the movie, as you said, right? Which is that's corruption within your own midst. There, you know, that's very difficult to.
There's a very interesting YouTube, if you watch, with Christopher Nolan and George talking about movie making. And George at one point says, you know, Christopher, there were only 5 people actually stood by my side to get Star Wars made. And that was John Barry and myself and the 2 art directors and Robert Watts, the line producer. That was it.
That's wild.
And we'd spent a few months, 4 months together in a tiny studio, just the 5 of us. We got to know George. We would watch 16mm movies we'd have there and look at influences, and we became friends, you know?
Yeah.
And plus, this was my dream job because I'd never connected to science fiction before. I just thought, you know, Flash Gordon was so unbelievable to me. Robbie the Robot, all of these ones. I just wanted a science fiction film that was acceptable to an audience because I'm the audience.
Yeah. What was it? I was going to ask too, you know, with the X-Wing fighters, you have what's his name? Ewan McGregor's uncle.
Yes.
Was it weird after you worked with his uncle and then you get to Phantom Menace, and did you know right away that was his uncle, or did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ewan
said. He was so in love with being on Star Wars and being in Star Wars. Yeah, it's kind of cool, that generations have gone through like that.
Yeah.
He's such a clever actor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Lawson. Thank you, Ben.
Dennis Lawson, yeah. These scenes, it was so big. We shot in Shepperton Studios. They had a massive hangar.
That's cool.
There were two, and there was an aircraft. They used to build the blimps, and that for the big wide shots could be done in there. The blimps, the airships that they used to have built in the 40s and 50s.
I was just thinking, Leia here, she's got like the same outfit on she had in the trash compactor. And it made me laugh because I swear I remember seeing an interview with Carrie where she was talking about that. Like they wouldn't let her change or anything like that. No. And then she's watching, Natalie Portman in the new ones, and she's got a new outfit every 30 seconds. She's like, what the crap?
Yeah. So that was one ship we could afford to build. The other ones behind are all cutouts. They're thin.
Wow.
You okay? My son is coming, so I'll have to leave at the end.
Sounds good.
No worries.
Roger, we really appreciate you being in here and doing
this. It's fun.
This is awesome.
Does it bring back a lot of memories for you?
Yeah, it always does. He's coming, Arjun, my son, to ICCC.
Oh, sweet. Cool. It'll be really good to meet him.
He works as my assistant.
I like it.
He sits at the table with me, and the first one I took him to, he thought he'd landed in paradise. I mean, there's every costume, and of course he knows all the YouTubers. He kept saying to me, "Dad, you've got to come and meet this YouTuber. He's got 20 million hits, and he wants you to sign some pictures for him." And then we did that, and he got a lightsaber, and then he takes Pokemon cards and trades them. I mean, he loves it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to meet him.
Yeah.
He'll like ICC, Colin. They have a lot of card stuff there.
Oh, good. Yeah, he's trading, and he's very good at negotiating now.
The negotiator.
Yep. So George cut together footage from Spitfire battles from World War II.
Okay.
And just matched each shot exactly to the battle. He cut them himself into a sequence and then matched each of the shot.
Okay. Since you said they only had time or the ability to build one ship, all these shots with them inside, is it all on the same ship?
We had one cockpit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just taking turns.
Yeah. Yeah, they just put different actors into the same cockpit.
Ben Maynard says,
I mean, again, it's groundbreaking model effects.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
Oh, yes.
These guys were geniuses, and they're still doing it, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Looks so real.
Ben Maynard says, I want to give a huge thank you to Roger. This has been an amazing hangout tonight. We appreciate him so much. These behind the scenes types of breakdowns make the movie even more special.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's fun to do this. I've never done this before. It's a great idea you had.
We'll have to watch episode 1 with you sometime.
I was going to say, we're going to have to watch episode 1.
Please. I love that movie so much.
You worked on Return of the Jedi too, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll have to do Return of the Jedi
get
and
them all.
Phantom Menace.
Add it to the list.
That is, of course, if you're down for that, Mr. Roger.
Yeah.
Christian.
R.I.P. Gazer.
There goes me. Everybody jokes that I look like Porkins, which I do. I can't
Really?
deny that. So. Stay on target. Stay on target.
Can't believe you were part of Red
So
Squadron.
if you ever watch Dam Busters, it's a brilliant film from World War II.
Okay.
And how they blew up the dam with a bouncing bomb. That a lot of the sequences exactly match these here.
Roger, how would you guys show the sparks and like the explosions from inside the cockpit whenever their ship got blown up?
They were the special effects guys added those in. They had what looked like welding sparks, but they were able to do that and safely, sort of.
Wow. Yeah, right. Safe enough.
Yeah.
Purple Jedi says, hi, guys. Hi, Roger. Can't wait to meet you at ICCC.
Burp.
Hey, there's me without a beard. Porkins goes, let me shave real quick. Okay, we're back in, guys. How'd you guys create the little like targeting screen in the ships?
They were actually made using bits and pieces of found stuff, but they were Norman Reynolds got those designed and made.
Okay.
They had to function and come out and
well, the shaved me is dead now.
yeah.
Just destined to die.
I am.
The overconfidence of Tarkin.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
That's just kind of a running theme in Star Wars, is overconfidence.
Right.
Don't get cocky.
Your overconfidence is your weakness.
Yep.
I have the high ground.
Yeah. Yeah. What led to the fall of the Jedi? Overconfidence.
If you're 50 or over, you could be taking advantage of everything AARP has to offer right now. Join AARP for $15 for 1 year automatic renewal, and your second membership is free. Get instant access to discounts on everyday purchases, eye care.
I've always loved Vader's TIE fighter, his like TIE
Yeah.
bomber.
Plus, AARP funds to protect your social security net. Join and get an insulated truck organized for free. Plus AARP the magazine. Call and go to join AARP.org now. Okay, here's what you want to do. Save hundreds on every initial customizes the car insurance. For you? No, I'm a guy. Not the leader. No watch that. Only pay for what you need.
Such a badass death
Yeah.
scene. Just
Right.
the way he just
Yeah.
screams.
Ah.
All of the like red like squadron pilots are giving it their all, or like acting here. It's all awesome.
Right. It's just a great use of models to
Mm-hmm.
pull this off that had never been done before.
Real Ben Maynard says, "I love how well this entire sequence holds up. It's
Yeah,
really
it
is
really does.
It
timeless."
does hold up.
Yeah, there's so many sci-fi movies that like you watch them, like even stuff made
Yeah.
in the 90s, it just looks terrible today, and
Yeah.
like it's all still perfect.
Yeah. You know, and as I said, it's just one cockpit and one ship and just intercutting because there was no money to do it.
Well, it's really like it's not overcomplicated. It gives you the exact thing you need, and like to make this movie end the exact way it should end.
Yeah.
I never noticed that before. You can see when Darth Vader turns that one sequence, you can see his eyes underneath.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I was a kid, I had to take a friend on a bet and have to rewind this tape to prove to him that Vader had red eyes. He didn't believe me.
Oh yes.
It's very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
See, Real Ben says, "See, this is what I love about these things. I would never have known it was just a single cockpit getting swapped
Right.
around."
Well, they do such a good job at like really suspending your reality and all this. Like, yeah, you totally
Yeah.
see all of this happening in real time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Imagine hearing that.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
why'd you turn it off? I'm good, dude. Okay, I don't know you, kid.
My question still stands. Why'd you turn it off?
Yo, trust me, I got this. Hold my beer.
I love Vader's what.
Yeah.
It's my favorite what ever said in movies.
What?
That's what it should have been in
He's so
Return of the
irritated.
Jedi.
Like, it's such a good what.
to the no.
Poor guys, they didn't even know what was coming.
There's a couple stormtroopers like, so hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Well, see, here's the deal. I was actually, for the first time in my life, gonna boom.
There's a fantastic YouTube video where they show in real time how much Vader actually spins.
Really?
If you were to actually cut to him just spinning, and he's just spinning for like.
He's still spinning. This is like from Talladega Nights with Ricky Bobby when he's like in the air and he's like, I'm in the air right now. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what
I
to
love
do.
it because they have two screens. They have what's happening in the movie, and then they have just him spinning, and it just in real time. This is how long Vader spins.
Thank God his like organs are shot because he'd probably otherwise throw up in his helmet.
He's
He's sick.
the Force is really good at helping you handle those kind of levels of G's. Vader was fine.
Oh my God. Someone's got to make like a video or animated video of like what Vader was doing while he was spinning in perpetual motion.
Maybe a how it should have ended animation, like those. Have you seen those?
Yeah. I mean, it's like one of those like from SpongeBob. It's like an eternity later, and then,
Right.
and then he's still spinning.
He's all upset because he just got a soda out of the fridge, and he's like, I can't open it now.
He's like, put me in the back of the tank. They're like, sir, you are shaken up. We can't take off.
So Roger, was this scene in that same hangar that you guys did the other?
This one, this was in the the biggest stage in England was in Shepperton Studios. It were huge, and it was done in there.
That's cool.
I love this scene because it is like that 12-year-old boy end
Yeah.
of an adventure movie or a TV show. You're like, good,
Exactly.
the good guys won.
It is. It's such a classic ending. Like,
Yes.
the princess, you get rewarded at the end. Like,
It's honestly my favorite
Yeah.
scene in all of Star Wars.
This feels
Yeah.
like a Flash Gordon ending right here,
Exactly.
super Flash Gordon. Yeah.
And it worked.
especially with Luke's drip. I love that.
Knackman wants to
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
Roger, how did you get R2 looking all destroyed?
We just messed up one, literally.
he literally
Just
destroyed
messed
him.
it up. We literally destroyed it. Yeah, one of the bodies, because we had 2 or 3 bodies. Once it was done, the shooting in the desert, that was we were able to do it.
Nice.
Well, that was really cool. Roger, thank you
Very
so much.
cool.
I know you said you have to
Thank
get
you so
going.
much for coming on.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you, Roger.
This is a pleasure.
Not at all. It's fun to do.
I'm glad.
Can't
We'll
wait
have
to
to
see you this weekend.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And Roger, we'll have to plan to have you back on for Return of the Jedi and then later
Sure.
for Phantom Menace.
That'll be fun.
Definitely.
So, Roger,
Okay.
again, thank you. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. See you
Have
in
a
a few
good
days.
see you in a few days.
Yeah.
May the
Thank you,
force be
Roger.
with
Great
you.
night.
May the force be with you, man.
And the force be
Take
with
care.
you and everybody listening. Thanks for joining in, everybody.
Yes, thank you, all 78 of you. Appreciate
Yeah.
you guys.
Cheers.
So-
Bye.
See you later, Roger.
Take care, man.
Okay. Oof.
All right. That was a lot of
Thank
fun,
you,
guys.
Guys,
That was insane. Thank you guys for inviting me on. Like,
Yeah.
what the heck? That was so cool.
check that off your bucket list, guys.
We
Come back for maybe Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace later on. Stay tuned.
Watch the original Star Wars with the living legend.
literally somebody who was one of the handful of people on George's side making it, which I didn't even know was a thing. I always thought it was just overhead studio interference.
Made this thing.
His own people. God, I mean, without
he made this weapon is your life.
Oh my God, I'm like awestruck. Like I knew he was such a big part in it, but to hear him say how he was one of the handful of people that helped make it happen with all that resistance they were getting from other people, it just is even better now.
It is.
My first interview with him, the whole time, I'm just grinning like a moron.
That's basically like how I was today.
That's why I'm off camera.
That's the real reason why Outer Rim didn't want to do the face reveal. He's just sitting there smiling the whole time.
Ben says that was awesome. I'm about shaking. That was so cool. Yeah, you should have seen
You're
me.
shaking. How do you think
the first time I ever interviewed him, I was literally doing this, but I had my hand underneath the desk, and I was like, "Holy crap, dude!"
Same.
Oh man!
Who
But thank you for
that. Just making some silly little Star Wars videos would turn into watching Star Wars with somebody who built Star Wars.
The only bigger you could get than this is having George Lucas on. I mean, that's really the biggest. The only bigger,
or one of the actors. Like if you were to get Hayden or Ewan or someone.
Like I told Roger, I'm like, you're on the Mount Rushmore. Like you're right up there with like George and like Nick Gilliard and Ralph McQuarrie. Yeah, like the seminal guys in what makes Star Wars.
Yep, 100%. Well, guys, we are currently I'm a day and a half because I'm leaving tomorrow night, but 2 days away from leaving for ICCC. I'm so excited to meet you guys in person. You have no idea, except for you, Outer Rim Transmission, because you suck. But
I'm 365 days away from ICCC. I'm 365 days away.
And yet you're the closest one out of all of us. How ironic is that?
No. Cam the Movie Man's like 10 minutes away from the convention center.
Thank you, nerd.
Cam can throw a rock and hit the convention.
Why are you defending Outer Rim? Outer Rim needs to be smeared against a wall right now for not going to ICCC. All right.
I mean, I could just put the icing on the cake and just tell everybody that he was supposed to go to Celebration, but decided not to and just gave away his tickets. So.
Wow, Outer Rim. That's the kind of Star Wars fan you are, and we let you on this stream.
Hold on. I turn the lights off.
Life things
There's
happen.
So much shade in here.
Going into Japan for 2 weeks. I mean, I bought the plane tickets too. Don't get me wrong. It's just things came up in life where, like, okay, I can't go to Japan for 2 weeks now.
Whatever, dude. Macman says, guys,
things happen.
Macman says, guys, thank you so much for this unforgettable experience. I never thought I'd get to watch Star Wars with someone who made the lightsaber. The fact that he was on George's side the whole time.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
If you haven't, read his book.
Yes, 100%.
It's freaking amazing. It's so good, and he has a DVD coming out too. Definitely get that. We're probably all three picking up his DVD.
100%.
Macman, freaking hit me, Gazer, or Kyber up on Insta. I'm sure we can get you a copy of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If anybody wants anything from Roger, just hit me up on Insta or one of the three of us, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Can you just get me one of what you're getting?
Yeah, if you come to ICCC.
Whatever you get, I'll get.
He just looks at the menu and says, I'll take it.
I love it. Well, guys, we will see you guys. Obviously, I'll be doing some vlogs. Star Wars Nerd, I'm sure you will too. Kyber Force is you as well.
No, I'm doing my channel tomorrow morning.
Perfect. Tomorrow, guys, just go on to our, appreciate all 77 of you in here. Please don't forget to go on and subscribe to our YouTube channels. It really helps out a lot. We really appreciate all the love and support. And other than that, we'll see you on our vlogs, and we will see you at ICCC T-minus 2 days.
We're not going to go another 4 hours and finish out Anbor.
No.
I really don't want to.
I'm calling
mean,
it here.
After
we
this, I
ended-
do not want to kill the mood.
No, neither do I. We'll do that another time. Probably not. Anyway,
Try a different
I'll
day.
watch on my own time. It's just
Yeah,
I
right?
don't need to sit for 3 hours anymore. I'll piecemeal it.
so Star Wars Nerd Kyrophores, I'll see you in 2 days. Outer Rim, I have nothing to say to you. We'll see you guys
in a
later.
year.
I love you.
We'll see you guys
Later.
later. Have a good night, and may the Force be with you.
Well, what have we here? Now, this podcast is something that belongs in the clouds. Well, what have